A kind day to you all. I'm Kinsmark, and I haven't caught you guys up on how I'm doing after the move. I haven't just talked to the camera for a while, so that's the plan for this, because I feel like I should. The short of it is, I'm alright. I'm finally feeling collected again, because after all that happened, having to move a couple of times, and then all the stressors that compounded in the midst of all of that, I felt completely scattered. I was just spread so thin, attention-wise, emotionally, physically even. My muscles have finally started to stop aching every single day after moving as much just, crates and material and furniture and stuff as I had to these past couple of months. So I'm finally feeling alright again. I'm adjusting to my sleep schedule again as well, because that got thrown completely out of whack. So the one thing to that is after the move that settled us here again, I was determined, like, we're gonna get this done, because I just want to have it finished. I want myself free of the stress of all of this stuff that's just hovering over me. So I got everything moved in. It's in the house. I know where it is. It's all safe. It's not gonna get damaged in out in the weather or anything. And so I got like the desk set up and, well, pretty much just that part of the office completely finished. It's all operational, as one can see, compared to the last one of these I conducted. I actually have all the hardware and stuff taken care of. And that's about it. Because I'm still looking at crates and stuff that's just left where I put it day one of the move into here again. Because I was just so exhausted. I couldn't force myself to even start doing any more unpacking than was absolutely necessary to continue on the channel, and that's about all I've done. I've got shelves over there that I need to line with my collection of tabletop stuff again, all of the various novels that have come with she and I on the moves and stuff, and I just, oh man. I am only now looking at them and feeling like I should probably do that, instead of just like, oh, that's still a thing I have to do. So I'm already starting to feel a little more settled again. Also, as one can plainly see, I had planned on changing out the camera for all of my material, especially for these vlogs that are full screened and aren't conducted over gameplay, to one that had a higher resolution. And I couldn't do that because I had one, spent a fair amount of money on one, and then I just couldn't for the life of me actually get it to function properly. Because at first it seemed like it could record at 60 FPS, 1080p, one or the other, and then I actually got it to do them at the same time, and it would only do it at like smaller resolutions, like 720. It wouldn't do it as all of that extra details that I shan't clutter up my commentary here with. All suffice it to say, I couldn't get that camera to function as I intended for the purposes that I got it for, so I had to hook up the old one again. So apologies. I know you can probably, especially in the darker areas of the screen, still see, like, because I don't even know what to call them, because they aren't tracking lines a la old like VHS tapes and stuff. That's what they look like though, and I know it's just because this is an old camera and it is starting to, I think, slightly degrade. So I'll have to find another one once I can afford to do so, and change it out again, and attempt to optimize those settings. Why am I wearing these? I should put these off, because most of the time I have them off for camera. So anyway, I figured I'd address that, because I know I mentioned that I was going to change it out, and I just haven't, and that's the reasoning for that. Another major announcement, as far as the channel is concerned, is that I am about to spend a month completely alone, because, cool reasons, don't mind. Vi's aunt is about to turn 50, and for anyone close to the channel knows that pretty much all of her family lives in Norway. So her aunt wanted for her celebration to have her family present, to all celebrate together. So she and her mom are flying out there, and because the tickets are expensive and all of that, and they want to actually do some stuff and have time to really enjoy their time there, then they are planning on spending about a month away from the country. So I'm gonna get left all on my lonesome here. And so, like, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm gonna miss the hell out of her. I've hardly spent that much time away from her since we met. I am attempting to find some silver linings in it, and chief amongst them is the fact that I can concentrate completely on the channel in that time. And because I've always, during times of like loneliness and stress, found things to concentrate on and distract myself from those stressors with, I'm probably going to devolve into full-on workaholic mode during that period. I'm going to crank out content, edit constantly, probably complete several series in that time, because once I get single-minded like that, I just set myself to the task, and I complete it, and then I find another one, so that I don't have to spend a moment alone with my thoughts and how lonely I am. So that's the plan for this coming week. So I know a few of you have asked when this or that series that I have said are coming soon are happening. That's when they're happening, because I'm going to have something to distract myself with during that month. So wish her well, safe travels and all that. I'm gonna probably have to set up a lot more of the like communicative software and stuff like Skype that I hardly ever arse myself with, because I have a lot of people I like to talk to, aside from the few friends I've made through the channel that I keep up with regularly. So any suggestions for cheap or free good communicative software like that, especially something that we could do like face-to-face with, let us know in the comments, because I'm open to those. As far as channel updates are concerned, content to expect for the foreseeable future, I know, because I've checked the analytics, the analytical writing is on the wall, I need to do more mod spotlights, because I checked like the top 10 performing videos on the channel, and almost all of them are mod content of some sort, and most of those are mod spotlights. So if for no other reason than concentrating on the things that are doing well on the channel, I need to do more of those. I've also had a few people ask me just like, man, I came to your channel for these and I'm hardly ever seeing them anymore. What's up with that? I haven't really got a great answer, honestly, because this, like, I feel like I'm making an excuse. It is true, though, that this year was one hell of a hectic one, and I was constantly trying to either get ahead or to play catch up from this trip or that, from that allocation of my time or that. So I was constantly making as much content that I could do quickly as possible. Like, that's why I did a few long play series. I did some simple stuff. I did a lot of reading from the Elder Scrolls, because those are things that don't take up a whole lot of my time per episode. Whereas Mod Spotlights, even though I've condensed my format and my system down so that they're all like sub 5-minute episodes, those 5 minutes can take me like 10 plus hours to do, because of how many cuts and edits and all of the footage gathering and stuff that I have to do, and then the research for the particulars that I have to put into the script, because yes, all of those are scripted at this point, so that I can do such a condensed and just a tight format for those that I know a lot of people enjoy. And so those were like, I can only create one episode on the day where I make those, and I couldn't afford time-wise to really do very many, so that's why there weren't very many for the last few months. I have the time to do that now, though, because she's leaving, I am not, I'm staying here, and I ain't got any other obligations for the next few weeks, months, and for the rest of the year, really. So I can finally start to loosen my schedule up again. I can do some of the formats that I enjoy working on, because I love doing those, and that I know a lot of you guys enjoy seeing. So I've already started getting ahead on some more Mod Spotlights. I've started up a few scripts. I've gathered footage for a couple. I already released one of the ones that I already put some work into, and man, I have missed that process. I actually I made some posts about it on our social media accounts, because I haven't actually done it for a few months. And just getting into that system of like, all right, I have to choose the one that I want to do, check around on the mod page, find the features that it claims to have, all right, go test it, see, does it actually function? All right, cool, it does. So let's start gathering footage for this and that and this and that and this. There were words in there, I promise. And then actually going through the editing process, because for those that aren't aware of how I do those, or haven't, like, I guess, cognitively realized the way that those episodes are structured, I try to cut footage relevant to what I'm saying at any given moment of a Mod Spotlight, so that that's what you're looking at on screen, so that the imagery fits the spoken script as closely as I can. So that is an intensive process, and it's one that I do enjoy, because I enjoy detail-oriented work. So look forward to some more of those. I'm going to try to get those out every Monday again. And I know a few people have also asked me, what happened to Fallout New Vegas mod spotlights? I have a frustrated answer for that question, because a few people have asked, and that is, I can't do them right now. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear. I mean this as calmly and kindly as I possibly can. I am not taking anyone else's advice about modding my games anymore, unless I really, really trust your judgment and I know that you are actually familiar with my setup, because I took someone's advice about how to set up some like shader mods and weather stuff, and even after I completely uninstalled it, the changes that it made to some other stuff in my mod setup completely wrecked my Fallout New Vegas, so I had to completely just wipe it, uninstall it. I have reinstalled it. I have not taken the time to completely reinstall all of my mods, to go through the old files and figure out, okay, well, which of these do I want to keep? Which of them have I, like, outgrown the appreciation for or the need for? And that, like, anyone that has done as extensive a modding for a game, especially one of those games, as I have, knows that process takes a long time. Like, that's a few days, and I have not had the time to do it, which is why I've had to create spotlights for some games that I didn't mean to concentrate as hard on as I know I have for the few mod spotlights that I've released. So once I can find the time to do so, yes, I am going to cover more Fallout New Vegas mod spotlights, because I know that's what a lot of people came to the channel for, and I do aim to continue delivering on that, even though that modding scene has calmed down substantially, just because, I mean, it's an older game at this point, so people are moving on to other things. There's still a lot of cool stuff that I'd love to spotlight. So anyway, I think that's about it as far as updates regarding mods on the channel. Another cool announcement that I have, for anyone that either can't or hasn't or whatever checked out our streaming, like we do every Wednesday and Friday, the channel just got invited and accepted into the Twitch affiliate program, and I am super excited for that. Because for anyone that doesn't know, the affiliate program through Twitch is different from their partner program. It's sort of a mid-tier, where partner is the top tier. And currently, one can only sort of monetize one's content through Twitch at the affiliate level through the use of cheerbits, I think is what they're called. They're like a currency that you can then distribute to any streamers that you see, and it creates like a special little emote message thing in the chat, and it gets like pinned so that the streamer sees it and the audience sees it. It's a cool little system, and they just added game sales to the affiliate monetization platform, so that I think the percentage, correct me if I'm mistaken here, for if you purchase a game that a streamer you're watching is currently playing, like through the Twitch clickable link that'll show up automatically underneath the stream, then that streamer gets a 5% cut of that sale. And I've checked around, I can't tell exactly the vendor that Twitch is using for those sales, because I'd had in mind originally to like cover stuff when I know they're on sale, so that people can get a really good deal, and I can sort of help people save money that way. I don't know exactly where to look for those, though. So as far as I can tell, I think Twitch are actually acting as a vendor themselves. They're not like going through GOG or Steam or anything. So that little idea kind of fell through as far as I can tell. So anyway, all that is to say that they're also planning on adding just a cut of ad revenue, just straight up, like they do for partners, and then also adding a subscription system, like the so many dollars a month pledge sort of thing, a la Patreon, that sort of thing, for affiliates as well. So the fact that we now have our foot in that monetization door is awesome, because anyone that's kept up with the channel knows I like to come at the channel with a content first mentality. I'm not in this for the money, because at the moment, there really ain't any, so I mean, that's not even a thing I can do. I am interested, though, in creating a successful channel and trying to get it to a point where it is, a financially stable platform for me to support myself on, because as I've said, even in this, in the last, vlog that I conducted, I can only conduct the channel at the moment because I have the support of friends and family that are allowing me the chance to do so. And so I'd really like to get on my own feet with all this, and this, I think, is a really cool means to do so. So I'm gonna try to concentrate a little more on streaming, and I may very well, just for the social aspect of it, for the next month or so, because I'm gonna spend all that time pretty much alone, I may try to do some more streams, and that way I can hopefully start to reach the numbers required for partnership and see an even greater cut of ad revenue and that sort of thing. That way I can do this a little more professionally and all that. So if you haven't checked out our streams, now's a great time to do so. For us, if I'm completely honest. And I usually catch the audience up on these sorts of things there. So if you're wondering why a lot of this is possibly news to you, maybe, that's why, because I hardly ever think, oh yeah, I should catch up the people on the channel side of things about all the news that's going on with us, because I've already talked about it a couple of times that week on streams. So, because I know only a small percentage of the channel's subscriptionship, if that's a word. I think so. I just coined it. It's fine. If Shakespeare can make words, so can I. Only a small percentage of you guys actually participate on each end of things, so I figured I'd catch you guys up as well. And also, speaking of the term affiliate, another new addition to the channel that I'm keeping as low-key as possible, because I really don't want to let any of this get out of hand. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea that it's the primary drive for anything. I have had the inclination for some time, actually, to do tech reviews for what few things I can afford to actually purchase to do reviews on. And most of the time, I'm not getting anything for the express purpose of conducting a review. It's like I'll get a thing, and I'll either have a really positive or really negative opinion of it. And I'm like, well, I should probably either let people know, hey, this is good, or warn them, hey, never spend your money on this. So there are a few things, well, I'll just tell you, the first one's a mouse that I had hoped to replace my current mouse with, and it's awful. So that ain't getting a great tech review. However, for product reviews like that aren't necessarily games coverage, that are going to, because they're entertainment oriented anyway, that are going to go up on the channel, or that already have in the case of Vi's reviews of like novels and stuff that she's reading. And I'm going to contribute a little to that same sort of thing, because I've started reading a little more again lately as well, because I finally have time to. And so for when we're doing product reviews that aren't for games, then on those, I already implemented them for all of the Vi's Bookshelf series. I'm using Amazon affiliate links for anyone that would like to purchase the things that we have just reviewed. And yeah, I'm going to include them even on negative reviews, because for some reason somebody might disagree and be like, well, that looks cool for my needs. So the way that those work, for anyone that doesn't know, is that those are essentially a chance for people that do product advisory sorts of stuff, that sort of thing, to include a link that if you click it as someone else on the other end of things, you're then taken to the vendor site, because there are multiple places that do this. I'm just specifically using Amazon. And then any purchase you make after following that link, that person who provided the link gets a cut of that sale. And it isn't even necessarily what am I looking for here? It doesn't even necessarily have to come from the item that was specifically linked to. It's anything that you make during that navigation of the site session sort of thing, which is a pretty generous program. And I know a lot of people don't like that kind of thing, if I'm completely honest, like full transparency, because it comes off as salesy, and so I really don't want to let that get out of hand. I'm not going to use it overly frequently. It's just for things where I can tell I am giving attention to a certain product, then I'll include those, because I mean, honestly, it's just smart from a channel perspective. You know, it's another small, certainly not a main stream of potential revenue for us that, I mean, really, I would find it foolish not to, since the chance is there to do it. So those, like, I'm not even going to mention them on camera aside from this announcement. They're just going to get tucked into the descriptions of any videos that are relevant, because the video content is just going to stay full on just review. It's not going to get at all salesy about anything, and I'm not going to let the fact that, oh, if I recommend people to get these, then, oh, I could maybe get a few more sales cuts. No. If something is not good, I will tell you it's not good, and I'll leave the link down there. I might judge you if you click it, honestly. If it's something that's really not good, it's there if you want to shoot yourself in the foot. That's your choice, man. So that's how I'm trying to approach this. That's really about it as far as channel updates are concerned. So a few actually, of personal updates. This is very much just about me and my interests. Some of y'all can just click away and tune out at this point. Because since I have had such limited time to do anything aside from work and travel and trips and stuff for the last few months, I had to really shelve a lot of my side hobbies, like putting time into tabletop adventures and stuff like that, because for anyone new around here, I really like, and so does she, and we've introduced it to her parents and some of our friends, playing tabletop games the likes of Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, a little World of Darkness here and there. I've also started experimenting lately with some of the Iron Kingdoms system, and not the War Machine, like the actual, I guess, character-oriented rather than army-oriented system. And I had a falling out with the Forgotten Realms after 3rd edition. Because when 4th edition happened, I checked out. I couldn't take it, I couldn't handle it, I was angry, I was emotional, and I honestly didn't touch it for years. Because for one, I didn't like the system of 4th edition. It felt super gamey to me, and I couldn't stomach, I couldn't take what was done to the lore of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting to set up for 4th edition. And it has taken me this long to get past that emotional hurdle and finally say, alright, I can take a look at 3rd edition again, because I loved it. It was my favorite edition and setting to conduct any and all D&D games in. I loved it! And I just, I couldn't return to it for so long, and I finally started to do so. And it's strange, because I spent a lot of that interim time playing Pathfinder instead, and also conducting a lot of homebrew projects. I'll touch a little more on some of that in a moment. Checking out homebrew from places like Giant in the Playground, a really cool forum for anyone else interested in tabletop. If you're looking for advice, how to spec your character, or looking for cool homebrew content, awesome forum. Check them out. There's it also runs the Order of the Stick webcomic that, if you enjoy tabletop humor, top notch. So it's strange coming at it with, I think, far more system mastery, and then looking at these things that I used to see as the pinnacle of mechanical implementation of fluff in some cases, and really going, wow, that's clunky. Forgotten Realms 3rd edition content wasn't always good at all. So there are some shining gems in there, and then there's a lot that's just that got published. Somebody signed off on that. All right. I mean, the lore is top-notch. I love it. And I'm still sad that there are so many, strands of stories that were started in 3rd edition that, because of the nature of the lore changes from 4th, they just got cut off. No, they never did anything with them. I was just oh, there was such cool potential in so many places. So I'm exploring a little more of that in some campaign stories and such. So, as I mentioned anyway, the homebrew stuff that I've spent some time on, I finally found time to resume work on Project Modern, as I've come to call as a working title, my adaptation of the Pathfinder core RPG system to a modern setting. Because I've attempted to use so many systems that can just sort of tack on modern functionality, either to D&D, through D&D Modern, D20 Modern, or there is there's like the Modern Path, that's a third-party Pathfinder adaptation. There was Monty Cook's like 3rd edition World of Darkness that was terrible, I'm sorry to say. So I just, like, I couldn't stand using any of these other completely subpar systems. It always felt like it needed a patch. I always had to, like, combine multiple systems, and so I just got fed up with it. This was like a year ago, mind you, and said, you know what? Screw it. I'm making my own. Because, for anyone new around here, I enjoy looking into like the mechanical aspect of, and comparing functionalities of, like, firearms and stuff, and I come from a law enforcement and a military family, so I feel like I have a decent functional knowledge of how, especially like combat in a modern system, works. And there isn't a single tabletop system that I'm aware of compatible with 3rd edition that comes anywhere near close to replicating that. And so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna make one. And I got ambitious. So I'm updating all of the original classes for Pathfinder to incorporate some skill revisions, some new skills, revisions to existing skills. Obviously, armor and weapon proficiencies are changing to reflect a modern setting. I'm implementing a lot of new rules for handling firearms so that it is as close a compromise as I can manage to more realistically replicating the way that they actually function, because so few games do, and still making it fun so that you're not getting stuck for minutes at a time crunching numbers and calculations and all that, like some of the more simulationist approaches to firearms combat in a tabletop system have done. Because at the end of the day, it's still a game. It still needs to provide fun. I just also want that fun to, at least as close as possible, mirror a little truer to life interpretation of things. So that's something that I had to shelve for a long time. I started that, again, like a year plus ago, and I finally started working on again, and I'm really having fun with it. I'm super proud of it, because a few times I've checked out some of the things that were some of my old go-tos for that sort of thing, and I'm comparing like my system to it, and I'm trying not to get this noggin too huge about it, and I'm going like, man, I think I can confidently say that mine is a far superior system. It's cleaner, it's more streamlined, and I think it adheres closer to realism. So I hope once I can finally release like a test version of it that you guys agree, because that is something that I plan on sort of alpha testing fairly soon. And that one, I will probably release a core version of it for free, sort of a la the way that a lot of companies have for the Pathfinder system, because I love like the open license gaming sort of stuff, and I'd love to contribute to that myself. I will probably release a much more detailed version of it on something like RPG Now or DriveThruRPG or any one of the other online digital distribution sites for tabletop content, and I'll probably charge just like a few dollars for it, because I have put a lot of time and effort into it. And then I do also eventually, this is pretty far in the future, want to create modules that are a little more specific, like doing close future sci-fi, or doing like the World Wars, or doing like Civil War and Western, or even doing more, I guess, stuff that I would ordinarily need a license for, like doing a Fallout adaptation or a Stalker adaptation, that obviously, due to licensing, sort of like mods for existing games, I could not charge for legally. So those, even though I am going to put a lot of work into them, those I'm going to release for free, at least the ones that I would need licensing for. Because I've looked, and I've seen the demand that there is on a lot of forums for stuff like that, for a Fallout tabletop RPG that's compatible with 3rd edition, or with D20, or with Pathfinder, for Stalker. I even had the idea of doing almost like a minis combat sort of thing, using that system, and like stat up the Dirty Bomb characters and do like arena combat stuff that you could finish a session in like 5 or 10 minutes, just as like a thought exercise. So I'm having a lot of fun putting time into that in my downtime. I know it probably comes off as incredibly cringy and nerdy to some of you, and you know what? That's fine, because we don't all have to have the same tastes. I enjoy it. And also, one last little personal update. I started playing Overwatch. Cheers again to Mr. Whiskers for sending me a copy of that, because that's one that... Because I'm just so cynical and jaded. Like, so many high-profile games have let me down and disappointed me in the last few years especially, that as soon as I see any game gain such popularity so fast, I'm instantly skeptical. I'm just like, is it good? It is actually pretty freaking good. So, I've played a little of that over the last few days as well. And I'm coming to enjoy it, so I'll probably stream that a few more times in the coming days, weeks, and months. So speaking of, since glancing here at my very scant outline to keep me somewhat on task for this vlog, it looks like I'm out of things to talk about. So cheers to all of you guys that have had patience enough to deal with me just rambling on and on and on and on for, let's see, how long have I sat here and rambled? About half an hour. So yeah, there's a few of you with some patience out there, or that actually care about what's going on the channel. And if that is the case, thank you, I appreciate it. So again, look for a lot of the stuff that I have talked about as far as content that is coming in the incredibly near future, because again, she's leaving next week, and I'm stuck here all on my own for about a month. So I have an awful lot of time on my hands, and I plan on using it to create a lot of content for you guys. So cheers to you all. Until then, I'm Kinsmark here at Lessable Press, and as always, I wish you all good gaming and Godspeed.